the Opel Corsa, and this is the new 1.4 turbo sport version, taking a little B to C segment hatchback and giving it the sport treatment, which a lot of cosmetic extras on the car. You can see the two-tone mag wheels, the daytime running lights has got high density headlights as well, daytime running lights, so a lot of little extra features, a little bit of the OPC bodywork as well. You can see the side skirts, and then of course what they've also done is they've put in that 1.4 litre turbo engine. Kicks out 110 kilowatts and 220 newton meters of torque, which in a smaller family hatchback is a pretty good output, and it certainly does give the performance that you would want from a sportier hatchback version that of course can suit family needs as well. And you come and have a look in the boot area, you'll see a smallish boot but pretty deep, and it does have the 60-40 split of the back seats as well, so you do have that functionality as well. Very, very neat looking little car, and certainly got a little bit of space and a little bit of go to it. We'll take a look what it's like on the inside. Behind the wheel of the Corsa 1.4 Sport, you've got lots of sporty touches, like the flat-bottomed, nice fat-rimmed steering wheel, which of course has all your multi-controls on the wheel for your cruise control, for your sound system, and of course your Bluetooth. So they're all there, which is nice. Very neat dash treatment over here as well, and very clear and legible. You can see that. Features that this car has, auto on headlights as well, which you wouldn't necessarily expect at this end of the market, but they are very, very nice to have. You take a look, of course, at the almost obligatory now multi-function and your multi-mode infotainment screen, which has your connectivity for everything. A little bit of a strange thing is that to use navigation you need to work it through a smartphone, so it's not quite as easy as some other systems, and I have to admit I didn't quite get my head around it. You take a look over here, there are two interesting little buttons over here. That one, it's a multi-mode transmission essentially, and what this one does is this is eco mode for saving a bit on fuel and trying to run more economically, and the button above is a city mode. What that does is it actually lightens up your electrically operated power steering, lightens up a few of the controls, and just makes the car a little bit easier to drive around town. Again, a slight criticism on my part. The default mode on the transmission is the eco mode, and it goes to that every time you start the car. So if you don't want to use it and you want to take it out of that and into the power mode, you actually have to switch out the eco. Not a big deal, but just something that I have felt. You do have, of course, your air conditioning system over here, very clear, very easy to use, and down to your 6-speed manual gearbox. This is where a bit of the sporty part comes in again. It's a pretty close ratio, close shifting gearbox, and well, once or twice I had to be pretty careful not to maybe engage a wrong gear, because if you try and rush it, well, that can happen. Something else on the car that I think is a nice feature is if you put it into reverse, it does come standard with a reversing camera, and you can see over there your reversing camera. There is also the options pack at an extra 5,000 Rand, which gives you the upgraded reversing camera, improved parking system, and park distance control both front and rear, so you do have that as well. And that little pack comes at a premium of only 5,000 Rand, which I think is a pretty reasonable amount for extra features on a car such as those. It also has a very nice feature as well that I thought at this price point, which is the blind spot monitoring, which of course works in your wing mirrors on both sides, and that is such a nice warning system when particularly you're on freeways and driving on freeways. Let's look what life is like in the back seat of this car. The first thing that strikes me in the back seat is there is lots of headroom, very much so, plenty of clearance for me with my hat on as always. Legroom at the back with the driver's seat set for myself is definitely adequate, but not massive, but really more than enough for, as I said earlier, a B segment family or young person's hatchback. And you've got space for 2 to 3 in the back as well, with pretty much room to spare, so there is no problem there. Price of the car, which of course is crucial because that is always such an important factor. You're looking at 270,000 Rand current new price, just gone up a little bit, like I think everything is going up right now with exchange rates, so you've got to look at that. What are competitors? Because there are so many B segment hatchbacks that you could compare it with, but I think two do stand out that I'll mention. You have the Fiesta ST, which is about 20,000 Rand more expensive, two-door only, so that is a trade-off you'd have to look at. Or another one that I did test very recently being the Suzuki Swift Sport, and that is about 15,000 Rand cheaper than this car, and you are looking at about 100 kilowatts as opposed to the 110 for this one. So very much a good comparison over there. This one I think has a couple of features which maybe the Suzuki doesn't, but they're very much in the ballpark, and I think you should do yourself a favor. If you're looking for the extra sporty features on a smaller hatchback, take a look at those and then make a decision. But do not ignore the Opel Corsa 1.4 Sport.